Hi, I'm SolarLune. I am the developer of MasterPlan, and yeah, I'm an indie game developer rather, and yeah, artist and stuff like that. And so I wanted to just go ahead and make a quick devlog video showing how things are going. The last time I talked about MasterPlan on Steam or Itch, I was mentioning basically that I wanted to go ahead and rewrite it from scratch, and that things were going well. But now I figure, I should go ahead and make a video that shows it. So we have a nice file menu here, where you can say new file, new project, load project, etc. You have an edit menu, which can be dragged around and resized, which is cool. And this is more of just kind of like a preliminary menu. Everything in here is pretty preliminary, but it's functional enough where I'm moving at a nice clip. There's currently a couple of themes, one of which being a bright theme and the other being Moonlight, which is this dark theme, which is good because, yeah, we probably don't want to blind people on this video. So yeah, there's a couple of ways to add cards / tasks. I'm not sure about the naming of these elements, by the way. They were tasks in the previous version of MasterPlan. They may be called cards now, but I'm not sure. That doesn't quite sound right. But anyway, you can create objects by right-clicking and selecting Create Card. You can double-click, or you can hold Shift and the 1 key by default. So this is the checkbox task / card. And so what the real reason why I underwent this complete rewrite was to move from RayLibGo to SDL2 as a framework, ideally to provide better input support for people who use Japanese, Chinese, or other languages that require input method editors. But I figured, why not just improve the program in general? And so basically things are looking polished. So now basically there's no longer ideally going to be menus at all. Everything that can be done to cards or tasks can be done right on the overview. So for example, you have a checkbox task, you can just start typing into it. The card will expand as you type vertically if necessary. All cards can be resized at will, like so. So if you want something horizontal, like a single strip like that, you can have it that way. If you want it to be vertical, you can, or square, you can have it be square, which is nice. Notes work the same way. Yeah, that works really well. And sounds can be resized again, but they also have a seek bar now, so you can seek for a sound, seek for the playback. I'm going to load a sound real quick. There we go. And so we can click around to seek, and you can see the playback, playhead, current time, and the total time there. Let's play it a little bit. Cool. Yeah, there's still quite a bit to do. This isn't nearly at the level of the previous version of MasterPlan in terms of overall functionality, but it's showing basically how things are going and where the goal is, which is to not really have a right-click menu, but rather have everything visible or not. So that's something else you can do now, is basically collapse elements really quickly just by holding Shift and pressing C by default. So you can just, for example, just collapse stuff if you don't need to see all of the controls. So this is an interesting kind of paradigm that I'm not sure if I really want to lean too heavily into, where every card has everything visible, and then when you're editing it, you can see and change everything, and then when you're done, you just press Shift C, or you just resize it so that you don't have the things you want to be seen, and that's it. It's not perfect, as you can see. It's a little jank, but it's not. it can be tweaked a little bit to be better, and I will be tweaking it to not do stuff like this. That definitely should not be happening. But overall, I feel like there's room for this kind of a paradigm where there's a lot of controls, and then you can just hide the ones you don't need to see when you're done editing them by just resizing it. Yeah, it's an interesting idea, because on the one hand, that allows you to really have a lot of controls if you need them at a moment's glance, but then when you're ready to kind of collapse it and you don't need it anymore, you can do that as well. So it's an interesting idea. I feel like leaning into it might be a good idea, but at the same time, it's a little tough to fit every conceivable control into a card. I don't want to overburden them, so I have to think about it a little bit. Images also work, and GIFs as well. I will load a GIF here, and so you can see it loads, and then there it is playing, which is cool. Every image, much like the previous update, images now basically load into around half the size of the screen, so that you don't really ever have to resize them by default. If you double click on an image, it will allow you to basically edit it, which I think is a really elegant solution. So you can have images that are images. They do what they do. They show an image or they show a GIF, but then you can double click on one and change the path, for example. It's a little awkward to click on edit path and then type in the URL, for example, to an external image hosted on the internet, but you still can do that, and it still does work. It's not perfect, but it does the job. Yeah. So then next we have timers. Currently the only timer that exists is basically a stopwatch. So basically, as it counts, it just goes ahead and waits, or I'm sorry, as time passes, it just goes ahead and counts upward. And so we have a nice little pie graphic that basically just shows the elapsing of time. You can name it. That's fine. Yeah, I still have to decide. I guess actually, now that I think about it, that would be good. What it should do is similar to the checkbox and the note. When you're typing, it should expand horizontally. You shouldn't be able to press enter, I guess, because, well, I mean, I guess you could. I guess this would be fine. I guess if it was to simply basically be vertical, that's an idea. Yeah, I guess that works. So I guess this will work basically like the note and the checkbox. That seems very elegant. I still have yet to implement the stack system, but I feel like when I do, it's going to work really similarly to the last version, but even better. That's the kind of the ideal of this version of MasterPlan 0.8 is basically 0.7, but everything's better. It's more polished, it's smoother, it looks better, it works a little bit smoother, and the stacking system I plan for it to basically allow you to, for example, change the size of a task / card, and the rest of the stack should basically move down or up to compensate. Similarly, if you move a card or task out of a stack, the rest of the stack should move up to compensate. So you really should not have to do so much finicky stuff. You should be able to really simply and easily focus on the design of your plan. So, you can just move stuff out, the rest of the stack will make room, or move stuff in and the rest of the stack will make room vertically. Yeah, so that's probably the next thing I'm going to do is that. Something else I wanted to add is an expansion on the board system. I thought about that a little bit and talked about it on stream, but let me go ahead and pull up the mockup I did. Okay, so here you can see the mockup that I've been basically basing this version of MasterPlan on. And you can see here on the right, this is essentially the new board system. Because the downside of the current board system in MasterPlan is essentially that like it's always there, which is cool, but the downside is that it's really devoid of any context. So for example, if you have a board that says like, okay, let's say we're making a game, right? And we made a game where you have an RPG, it's an RPG, and there's 4 towns in the game. You make a board for each of those towns. Fine. But now, how do those towns really fit together? What's the context surrounding those towns? What acts do you visit those towns in? Where do they fit in the game world? None of that really is able to be expressed by the positioning of the board. It was basically just like buttons on the right side of the upper right corner of the screen. So you have board 1, 2, 3, 4, town 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's okay. But this system is better because essentially you can ideally have a hierarchy. So you could say, for example, here's a folder. Here's a folder where basically it outlines, for example, maybe the game world. Here's a folder that maybe outlines maybe the world design. Here's a folder for maybe character design or outfits. And all of those can be under another folder for basically the visuals. So you can basically have a hierarchy and have a context regarding where your pages, which are these things, these views, fit in. So a page is a board, but then pages can exist inside of folders for better context. That's the idea. I still have yet to implement this, but I think when I do implement it, it'll be a just better, wholly better version of the board system, because it's just going to be board system, but more options. It would be interesting if you could also expand pages to see individual cards / objects, notes, tasks that exist there, and then be able to move them between pages, or maybe rename them or something. I don't know. I have to figure out exactly how if so, how I would do this, but it might be interesting because that would allow you to kind of see some information. Some additional interactivity with boards and between boards. But basically, I feel like that would be a really cool system that would allow you to more effectively have structure and planning, more effectively implement structure and planning to your project. So you don't have to basically just have a flat stack of pages, but rather you can have a layout that really exemplifies the important parts of your project, and have them also at a moment's notice on the right hand side of the screen, or something. It would be cool if you could maybe dock it at different locations. But anyway, that's basically what I have. Yeah, and so as you can see, it's not perfect, but it's definitely on the way there. It's definitely getting there. Something that's different from the current version of MasterPlan is each task type, or each card type, each object type has its own color. Before they were all basically one or two colors. Now each type has its own, and by default, the themes are going to be basically unique for that. So if you go to the sunlight theme, warning, this is bright. You can see basically they follow a similar kind of design, similar kind of color. Well, not similar in all cases, but like the checkbox is gray, just like it was on the dark theme. The dark theme was a little more blue, but as you can see, these are very colorful, which is nice. I feel like color is good. I feel like color is a good thing. But these are all customizable, just like they were in the previous version of MasterPlan. And the upside is that now there are like actual names for the themes. Like, the background color is this, the grid color is this. So now it's not nearly as hard to figure out what colors corresponded to what elements of the theme. Now you can just change it manually. You can change it more easily by saying, okay, this is the note, this is the color for their notes, this is the color for sounds, this is the color for images that haven't been loaded, timers, etc. So that makes things a lot easier for me as the developer, but also people who wish to make their own themes. Yeah, so anyway, there's a lot to talk about, or a lot to do rather, But that's kind of the long and short of, oh wait, that's right. Also, sorry, that's really bright. Let's change it back. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, I forgot to mention this edit menu. This is kind of a proof of concept / prototype for basically designing or allowing you to change properties on multiple tasks at the same time. So if you select, for example, multiple tasks, you can go into the edit menu here and change the, or click on set type, and then click on checkbox to make them all checkboxes or notes or sounds. So that basically is kind of an example of how you would really, or how this kind of a system would work, where you can change multiple properties of a single, or change a single property on multiple objects. I'm not sure if I like this setup. It might be better to, for example, make it so that, well, yeah, this seems to work. I feel like any kind of a system like this is going to have something like this, where you have to have some sort of dialogue. It may be docked, you know, it may be something that appears like this, may be able to be moved or whatever, but you'll have to have some sort of option to set some sort of property for this to work. So this is, I can't really imagine another way of doing this apart from maybe just having a shortcut to do it, but this is fine, I think. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I have so far. Still a lot missing, still, you know, not nearly to the level of MasterPlan 0.7, the last version, but it's definitely coming together, and it's really coming together well. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. This has been a nice time. This has been a good time examining MasterPlan, and you know, it's still under heavy development, still working on a lot of it. Zooming is working fine, but it's a little weird. It's still a little weird. I need to kind of tweak it a little bit, but yeah, it's going rather well, I think. If you wish to support development, please do purchase a copy of MasterPlan from itch or Steam. Both of them have a 20% off sale running until next week for the summer, and I really do appreciate any support anyone can give to help make this a really solid project planning software. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLune. It's been real, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. See ya.